everybody, and welcome back to the Blossom Review. How are you? Today we're talking about SBS's adorable Phantom Lawyer, a fantasy dramedy that came to a close last Saturday. If you haven't watched the show yet, don't worry about it. This review is spoiler free, okay? Phantom Lawyer is reminiscent of the K-dramas of yore. Delivered in the now rare format of 16 episodes, this is an emotionally resonant, fun and playful series that doesn't take itself awfully seriously and proposes a cozy and satisfying journey that might not be revolutionary, but it surely warms your heart. Phantom Lawyer is the story of Shin Irang, played by Yeon-seok, a kind and righteous lawyer who's struggling to secure a job because of his father's reputation. Irang is the son of a corrupt prosecutor who died in a car accident many years ago, but whose crimes continue to taint his son's meager job prospects decades later. Irang then decides to take matters into his own hands and opens his own law office, determined to prove to the world that he can indeed be an honest professional. Irang doesn't have a lot of money, so he ends up renting this shabby office that used to be a shaman's house. Nothing wrong with that, of course, if the problem was only the questionable decor for a law firm, but the real challenge lies in an old incense burner that, when lit, gives Irang the ability to see a spirit and be possessed by them. The spirits Irang meets were wronged in life, and so he takes it upon himself to make things right and offer them the closure they deserve. And so starts a mostly episodic adventure in which a shamanistic lawyer helps his ghostly clientele resolve their grudges with the living. Phantom Lawyer explores in the most whimsical of ways a very Korean concept, that of the hanpuri. While puri means to wash or to resolve in this case, han is almost impossible to translate. Han is an emotion intrinsically connected to Korean culture that roughly corresponds to a long-held resentment or grief. In the essay Spectres of East Asia, Okinawa, Taiwan and Korea, Professor Choi Jin-seok explains. The Korean word han refers to a sadness that throbs, that has congealed and hardened, and also to something that loosens it. In the Korean expression undoing han, hanpuri, han refers to a congealed feeling that loosens and hardens again, loosens and hardens again, to a process of rumination that is repeated over and over. Han never disappears. It does not disappear, but hanpuri can also allow one to carry on with living, and without hanpuri, one will become physically debilitated. Hanpuri, that is, could be called the very activity of human life itself. The hanpuri is often associated with shamanism, in which it takes the form of a cathartic ritual that has the power to free people from their emotional pain. In the study, The Priest of Han as a Theme in Christian Shamanistic Interfaith Dialogue, Gang Won-dong writes, hanpuri is the central device of shaman rituals. From a shamanistic perspective, illness is aroused by the spirit of the dead who is not at all free from his or her han, or by the spirit of the ancestor who is not properly treated. In order to cure the illness, shamans must identify the han of the dead and release him or her from the han. Shamans must suggest to the descendants the way to appease the spirit of their ancestor. Gang also shares that shamans who successfully overcome their possession sickness can then help others to be free from their han. And that's exactly the core premise of Phantom Lawyer. By working alongside the spirits he sees and allowing them to make use of his body, Irang frees them from their sorrows. With such a concept as the story's backbone, Phantom Lawyer then distances itself from your usual legal drama or ghost story, embracing a journey that is unabashedly about emotional resonance. The mechanics of the legal cases Irang works on matter little to the series' thematic goal, establishing a narrative whose world building has consistent rules, but whose events unravel through coincidence, convenience, and fantastical shenanigans. Yes, what is logical doesn't really have much space in Phantom Lawyer. It is a tad silly, a tad miraculous, but endlessly optimistic, and that's exactly the kind of show it wants to be. This is a series that remains consistent in its objectives, developing its themes with such heart and sincerity that we naturally look past its predictability and cliched antagonists to fully embrace its eccentricities. Phantom Lawyer uses a very interesting mix of conflicts and an engaging narrative structure to support its commitment to emotional impact. The first 6 episodes follow a very simple pattern of meet ghost, investigate, resolve, with which Irang has to comply. Then Irang is given the opportunity to actively embrace his quest, finally finding purpose and fulfillment in his fate, rather than just being forced to accept the inevitable. From episode 7 onwards, the show breaks away from the formula of the first few installments, offering a welcome change of pace and allowing its protagonists to embark on an exploit of their own choosing. And that's the point with Phantom Lawyer, the quest itself. The culprit, the sentence, or the destination is of little importance. So it is the charming characters that accompany Irang throughout this experience that make it worth it. It is comforting to see fellow lawyer Han Na-hyun, played by Song, go from a heartbroken individual to a warm and open colleague, and eventually even romantic partner. It is adorable to observe Irang's family, in particular his brother-in-law and mom, come together to help Irang deal with and assist the spirits haunting him. The tenderness of these relationships then complements and bolsters Irang's captivating personality. Irang embodies profound kindness and empathy, creating continuous cycles of goodwill and generosity that establish the show's hopeful tone. As a consequence, Phantom Lawyer finds its identity in the humanization of the ghost story. Ghosts here aren't supposed to be frightening or unsettling, but unique individuals that need and deserve understanding instead. The phantasmagoric gives space to the humane, replacing fear with relatability. Each and every one of Irang's clients illustrates the show's themes of love, connection, and compassion. Their stories are all about how loving others and being loved in return define our existences. They remind us that a life is only well lived if we appreciate the present moment, seeing it as an opportunity to be honest with those we cherish and to create bonds of care and trust that will shape our identity and fate. Bonds of such strength that they can survive even death. Bringing it all together, we have a marvelous score and some very compelling visual language, which is executed with varying degrees of success. The cinematography is always on point, but the visual effects are a huge mess at times. But what makes it all so hypnotizing is the performances. Phantom Lawyer counts on a wide cast with some incredibly talented guest roles, skillfully led by 2 exceptional actors. Yeon-seok is extremely charismatic, while Yeon-seok absolutely nails the kind of comedy this narrative relies on. It's astounding to observe how he handles the physicality of his role, in which he has to portray all sorts of people, from a teenage girl to a little boy. You offer some remarkable character work as Irang and deserves a huge amount of praise for the result. Phantom Lawyer lives in a very entertaining corner of K-drama land. Gentle and straightforward with just the right amount of goofiness, this is a series that chooses to see only the good in humankind. It makes excellent use of the culturally unique and emotionally charged concept of the hanpuri to deliver a universally resonant story of forgiveness, healing, and love. When it comes to cozy ghost stories that are all about the heart, Phantom Lawyer will surely live on as a prime example of the genre. Phantom Lawyer is available on Netflix, Viki, and Cocoa. Quick reminder that this review is also available on the Blossom Review, and over on Substack this week we reviewed a Japanese film called Climbing for Life. I'll leave all the links in the description if you guys would like to give them a read. Guys, thank you so very much for being here. I really hope that you like this video and you subscribe so I can see you here every week for a new review. Take very good care of yourself and have a lovely day today. I'll see you very soon. Big kiss. Bye!